Oh, can we do? Good morning and welcome to the Big Football Show, which will be changed to the Sunday Sports Podcast next week. We have the first truncated hour of shows for the future here. Just talk about sports in general because football is winding down. We just went through our national championship. Congratulations to Indiana. But today is dedicated to the NFL and the playoff teams that are in there, plus some general NFL news. We're going to get to some coaching stuff first here. I do say good morning to my co-host there, Jack Hurst and Keith Engel. Hope you guys are doing real good this morning. First one on the docket this week is the Steelers hire Mike McCarthy as head coach. Is that a surprise to some of you, or do you think it was? I know Aaron Rodgers went out on a limb and asked if they can interview him as head coach. So, because they'd have history. What say you about that, Jack? How do you think that went down? How do you think it should?
Yeah, I mean, I was never the biggest Mike McCarthy fan, and as far as Aaron Rodgers being an advocate for Mike McCarthy, I mean, rumor had it they really didn't get along that great during their time together with the Packers. But then again, anyone who spends enough time with Aaron Rodgers, he's very demanding. Aaron Rodgers is like a demanding boss. And at the time, even though McCarthy was the head coach, Rodgers was one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history at that time. So he had a little more power. And these coaches know it. And Matt LaFleur went through that as well. I mean, they got along with Rodgers, those coaches. It was passable, but he controlled the narrative. But right now, you look at Rodgers, he's going to be a 43-year-old quarterback. He still has something left in the tank, but he's not the Aaron Rodgers of old. So I would be surprised that the Steelers brass would allow Aaron Rodgers to have that much pull, that they would try to please Aaron Rodgers for him to come back. But if Aaron Rodgers was behind it, that means he is coming back for another season in Pittsburgh for sure. But how much McCarthy's going to want him? Maybe McCarthy is going to want to start grooming a young quarterback. But the Steelers never pick high in the draft, fellas. So they never have a chance to pick an elite college quarterback. So, but it's a good move all in all. McCarthy was 12-5 for 3 years in a row at Dallas. Proven coach. So it's certainly not a bad move.
I agree mostly with what Jack said. I don't think it's a bad move. I think it's a very short-term move. I do think Aaron Rodgers will be back. I think this is not something where I got to coach for the next 5 or 7 years. Mm-hmm. I really think the Steelers have an eye on Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame, and they're waiting for that point in time where he's ready to move and they feel he's ready to move. This is a short-term situation. They have said over and over again they don't like the organization itself, doesn't like the word rebuilding. So they're still all in from what it would appear, and that would mean probably that Aaron Rodgers will be the quarterback because there aren't a lot of other options out there short term, whether that's good or bad. I mean, Jack talked before the show that he seemed to get along with people in Pittsburgh pretty much outside of some of his game day antics. I guess people get used to that stuff. I don't know. But I don't think it's a bad hire. Again, he's one season removed from 3 consecutive 12-win seasons. He's got a Super Bowl victory with Aaron Rodgers, and I think
Well, they didn't have a winning season this last season at Dallas.
I said he was one losing season.
He didn't coach last year, so that's when you said one season, 2 seasons technically.
Yeah, I tried to say it that way, and I probably didn't come out.
Let me ask you, Keith, this. Marcus Freeman, what is the big buzz? I like Marcus Freeman. He's very likable. He's a player's coach. He's done a good job at Notre Dame, but he doesn't exactly knock your socks off. What elevates him above all the other candidates? Oh, we're going to wait on Marcus Freeman. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, he's at Notre Dame. He should be happy there. He's got a long-term deal at Notre Dame. Why on earth would Marcus Freeman want to leave to go to the Steelers and have the fan base get on his case if they don't win?
If I was Marcus Freeman, I'd want to stay at Notre Dame because I think I can build a better legacy there. But I will tell you something. Being the head coach of Notre Dame is going to lose some luster very soon. If you go look at their schedule for next year, you'll understand what I'm talking about. This is not going to be an easy ride for Notre Dame scheduling people because of the landscape in college football today and the giant conferences. So the NFL's had their eye on Marcus Freeman, and I think Freeman's had one eye out there too. And I think one of the reasons is, Jack, and you kind of touched on it, he's a player's coach who has that feel to me of the NFL coach that teams are looking for today. The Sean McVays, the young guys who relate to players today. And I think I think at some point he's going to take this jump. I think the Notre Dame job's going to get tougher and tougher. I know they're going to get certain, and I know we're not talking a lot about that, but they're going to get certain advantages as far as getting into playoffs that other team won't have. But look at their schedule next year. If they lose a game, they shouldn't be in the top 25, quite frankly. But I think Marcus Freeman is headed for the NFL within the next 2 or 3 years. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not saying. And the Steelers have always been the main team talked about when it comes to Marcus Freeman in the NFL.
Morning, James.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yeah, we were talking about the Steelers hiring Mike McCarthy as head coach. I was giving her 2 cents on that one. How do you feel about that?
I don't know if I have 1 cent. Actually, I'm gonna say that's not a bad hire. I mean, and it's 2 things here. One, Mike McCarthy is about the equivalent of a Sean Payton. I don't know if he is at this juncture of his career, but 2, it sort of reminds me of an old school hire. If you think about the coaches that they've had, which are not many in that history of the Steeler Nation, Chuck Noll, what's the gentleman's name? I can't think. He's on CBS.
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher.
Bill Cowher. Mike Tomlin. He kind of falls in that line, just an old school coach. And another thing, I'll say one more thing. It shows me that there's not a deep pool of coaches that people are willing to look out and go out to. I mean, the fact that yesterday we were talking about Phillip Rivers being an option as a coach, his name got into a pool for the Bills. It's not a lot out there. So I think this is a decent hire for them. And how long it lasts, I don't know. But I think Mike McCarthy has a chance to redeem himself, considering, he did some really good things in Dallas. I think he'll do really good things for Pittsburgh. It can't get any worse than what it was. I mean, they were barely getting. I mean, like I said, Mike Tomlin had them with winning seasons, but obviously they wanted to do more. So we'll see if they do more with McCarthy.
And good morning to everybody. Welcome, Sonia and James again. And welcome to everybody that's on our comment section. Natalia, Game Changer 54. 5440 or what was it, 5450, and of course Richard and Rick. Thank you for joining us today. Sonia, we were talking about the Steelers' hire of Mike McCarthy as head coach. What were your views on that?
I honestly was really shocked, to be honest with you. And you guys forgive my voice. I'm a little under the weather. I've been kind of battling something off and on all weekend. I was really shocked, to be honest with you. Not that he actually has a job, but that it's actually in Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a parody a little bit, considering Aaron Rodgers was considering hanging up the cleats, this time for good. Just the way Tomlin stepped down, we know that Pittsburgh does not have a record of terminating their head coaches. And so that kind of thing is something you have to think about. How long will this relationship between McCarthy and the Steelers last? We know we've seen McCarthy do good things in Green Bay. We've seen him in Dallas. I'm still kind of trying to process what this actually means for that organization overall. I know that, like James said, and I was kind of watching a little bit as I was trying to get logged on here. They have the potential to do great things. It's just going to depend on how they go forward with the quarterback position, how they go forward in the draft, even coming up, and just what they'll do overall to try to make that franchise better. I think that he definitely adds, some success, bringing it to the door to them. And I don't know, it's going to be really odd, but he's familiar with a lot of players throughout the league. He's also familiar with how the Steelers run things overall. And I guess if you had to go from a scale to 1 to 10, possibly like a 7 as far as a fit right now. Definitely above average, but I'm just not 100% sold, but I'm pretty sure, they don't have a coach. They had to go with somebody. So why not go with someone that's already tried and proven it with another franchise?
Yeah, other coaching news that we have here. Mike McDaniels, he forgoes his head coaching interview with the Bills. I don't know if the temperature had anything to do with it. I think that's what happened. He's like, nope, no -5 windshield here, buddy. Nope, I'm not going to that. I don't know what happened. Let me go back to Los Angeles here. I ain't dealing with this stuff. But so that was a surprise. I was surprised that he did that, because it's a head coaching position. No matter what the weather is, still a head coaching position. So
I do have one question. I'm sorry.
The organization is a mess in my mind, and I think that's why McDaniel might have pulled out. And some other coaches are not going to consider the Bills. Mm-hmm. It's a dysfunctional organization. Starts at the top.
Mm-hmm. I hate to hear that about the Bills, but one more question about the McCarthy decision. And I apologize to everyone for being late. I'm having a bit of a back problem here today.
Oh, man.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Like a mesh unit, for crying out loud.
Yes. So I know this is something I probably would refer to Jack because he loves Aaron Rodgers. Do you think that Aaron Rodgers had anything to do with the hiring of this coach, or the opposite, or not knowing and wanting to?
We discussed that before you came on. We discussed it in the early part of the show. So I don't want to go over it in detail, basically. But who knows? But the bottom line is, do you really care? It's not like Aaron Rodgers is Josh Allen, okay? Where he's your franchise guy going forward for years and years. He's an older quarterback. He might be there maybe one more year. So that shouldn't be a deal maker, for Mike McCarthy to come there because Aaron Rodgers wants him. How much pull does Aaron Rodgers have? But more importantly, how much pull should he have? You tell me, should he have much pull or not? Josh Allen should have a lot of pull, I think. But Aaron Rodgers at this point, you listen to him out of respect. But, I don't think he should have a great amount of pull within the Steel organization for making such a big move as their head coach. But by getting Mike McCarthy, obviously Aaron Rodgers' fingerprints are all over it.
Well, I doubt it. It may not be pull, but he may have whispered to somebody, if you'd like me to consider coming back, you might want to talk to Mike. So,
considering the fact that Pittsburgh spent the offseason falling all over him for 3 months while he waited to decide what he was going to do, I would say he has some sort of pull.
Yeah, he's probably trying to keep that relationship mended. They didn't really parkways the best ways out of Green Bay. And he's actually talked about that on some of the shows. He was with Pat McAfee a while back. So this is his way of possibly mending the relationship going forward overall so that everybody gets a chance to see them together.
With that said, it'll be a repeat with Aaron Rodgers because
That's a good point.
his numbers will be fine. But you look at 2 of his last 3 games, and that's where I'm sorry he can't play at an elite level in big games anymore. He can't.
That was the main reason I was gonna say I didn't know for sure if they were on good terms or not. I wasn't sure. Yeah.
Chief, Noah plays at an elite level against the Houston Texans defense.
This is true.
Drake May threw for
Well,
3 touchdowns.
He did say a couple of games, Jack. But anyway,
And James, he actually said that him and Mike talk every week, so they're on good terms. They have a phone call like every week.
Well, that's good.
I do think the animosity has subsided there. There was a problem when they left, and Brian talked about it earlier. You know, you're long with somebody a long time, you know, just like in marriages or whatever else, they run their course sometimes, and time heals. Right? Belichick and Brady are another great example of that. You know, you get tired of each other. So,
But sometimes though, it'll be interesting how this works out because sometimes you go back to the ex and you know you realize why you left the first time. Okay. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see how that works out.
That's a good point, James. A couple of family dinners don't gloss over, you know, all the problems, I guess.
You know, another fact is where these coaches are living. You'd mentioned, we mentioned Mike McDaniel a little while ago. Well, he didn't want to go to Buffalo. Chances are he didn't want to live there. You know, you have to live there full time. You rarely get to go on a vacation. So you're living in the town of Buffalo. No disrespect to Buffalo, but it's cold, it's snowy. Keith is, of all of us, is closest to Buffalo. So he can relate to the weather a little more than the rest of us, as opposed to living in Los Angeles. So geography has a lot to do with it. I mean, the big appeal about going to Buffalo is Josh Allen. You have one of the greatest quarterbacks, I think, in my opinion, in NFL history you can get to work with during the prime of his career. I mean, that's the appeal. I wouldn't call the Bills a dysfunctional organization the way Keith is saying it. The McDermott firing, the press conference afterwards was sloppy, but they haven't.
Their owner is an absolute joke. Their owner is a joke.
Based on one press conference.
You fire the head coach and you promote the guy who brought in the press
conference, but you can't make that statement.
I don't care that he fired him. I care about the disrespect and the total running backing the truck up over and over again over McDermott.
Yeah,
it
was rough.
He had a bad afternoon. Put it that way.
He had a really bad afternoon.
If I had to. I never heard him speak, Jack. If I had to gauge off of that first impression, I wouldn't want to work there at all. It's just judging off that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's the lasting impression when you do stuff like that and you're looking for a head coach after you just fired your head coach, and then you do stuff like that. A lot of head coaches will not, you know, they'll be like, yeah, okay, you're not going to be throwing me under the bus, bro. Nope, ain't going to happen.
So how many top candidates are left? How many top candidates are left?
Very many.
The best candidate left is Brian Flores, and I can't say I'd hire him. He comes with a lot of baggage.
They're hiring the guy in the building, Jack. You know that Joe Brady's got that job.
Joe Brady all along. I've said. I still believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Miss Linda.
Yeah, hi, Miss.
Good morning, Miss Linda.
Linda.
Like St. Brown there, Brian, when he says, you know, no disrespect to Buffalo, but you suck up. That sucks, Buffalo.
And when Jack, when you say no disrespect, I mean, when not just you, but just all of us, I think we're all guilty of it. The term is hiding the disrespect. It really is legit disrespect, indirectly.
It sure is. Other coaching promotions and hires here. Dolphins promote Bobby Slovic to an OC position for the Dolphins. I think that's a good move, actually.
Did a good job in Houston. Was head coaching in head coaching conversations for a couple of years there. So I think that's a good move for Miami.
Well, you know, Miami has to still resolve this situation with a couple of players. Tyreek Hill coming off the injury. I'm sure some team is going to take a fly on him next who's receiver needy. And Tyreek Hill really, on a social media post, went out of his way to compliment Zach Wilson.
Right.
And Zach
Yeah.
Wilson now supposedly wants a chance to go somewhere where his career could get revived the same way Sam Darnold did.
UFL, James. This is where you say UFL, right?
Yes, UFL. CFL. Excuse me. Yes.
Oh, CFL.
It's amazing how much the power of people on social media really is. It's like some things kind of go under the radar, or you really don't put that much emphasis on it. And then a player tweets or puts something out there, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, let's put them together. This person wants them to be here. And it's so hyped up for no reason.
It depends on the person.
Match it.
It depends
It's
on the person
Tyreek
on
Hill.
social media, right?
It's Tyreek Hill.
Clowns can always do social media. So I mean, you got AB out there doing all his crazy stuff, and then you got Tyreek Hill doing his crazy. I mean, it's who you respect the most out of those people that do this, the tweeting.
Let's do a little recollecting here. Tyreek Hill said the same thing about Tua when he first left KC.
Wow.
He said the exact same thing.
Wow.
So now things are not working out. So now he's saying something about
No,
Zach
it's different. No, it's different. When he left KC to go to Miami to play with Tua, so he was complimenting Tua and in his way inside the door in the house. Now he's leaving the house. He has no motivation to say anything nice if he didn't mean it. He's not kidding.
Exactly.
He really means it about Zach Wilson.
I doubt it.
So why wouldn't you compliment him? He has nothing to gain complimenting him.
I think he does. I think the situation he probably wants to. First of all,
he does.
The evidence shows what Zach Wilson is. It's just what he's been.
I'm not arguing that. You just phrased him. He sees him in practice every day, or saw him in practice. We didn't. Okay, he obviously likes his potential.
We talking about practice? Are you kidding me? Practice? We're talking about practice.
He had a chance to be number 2 in Denver, and it's Jarrett Stidham. So that's all you need to know.
Because Peyton likes Stidham a lot. I mean, that's the reason. And the reason Peyton got Zach Wilson to begin with, because he wanted to stick it to the Jets to show he could maybe develop him.
And he did not.
And he did not.
He did. Well, he had Stidham as the backup, so.
Exactly. Exhibit A. Exhibit A was Zach Wilson's no good. He couldn't beat out Jarrett Stidham.
Oh, I'm not arguing. He was a mess with the Jets. I'm not arguing.
Order in the court. Order in the court.
Yeah, Zach is he's a professional quarterback, and we can just say that. I don't know about him. He's a great professional quarterback. He is in the NFL, so that's about all the positivity I can say about that guy.
He gets a big check every 2 weeks, so he's just,
Let me say this, Brian. You posted one of our a clip of a reel of one of our episodes of me calling Jarrett Stidham a scrub. First of all, let me back that up. No one in the NFL is a scrub. Someone check me on that. Who was a fan of the Raiders? I think he played for the Raiders, and he had a really good game against the Raiders. I mean, against
He's 1-3 with the Raiders.
Yeah, he had a good game. And I said every dog has his day. And the guy said, "Be careful with that, buddy." I said, "Well, every dog has his day, buddy." And I said, "Well, how do you think he's going to do in this game?" And he didn't respond. But with that said, I don't think it takes a lot to get to the NFL. It takes a heck of a lot to get in, and it's wrong of me. So if that person out there listening, if you are, I was wrong for calling Jarrett Stidham a scrub. Any player in the NFL is not a scrub, because they were the cream of the crop of whatever they were at some level in their career, in their football career. But to get to that level, you have to be you have to have some sort of form of talent, because you're beating out other guys to be playing where you are. So with that said, I apologize for.
He's better than any of us. I'll give him that.
Yes.
So take that for what it's worth.
And that's a stretch. Anyway,
that is a huge stretch.
Eric Bieniemy got promoted to the OC for KC. He's the running backs coach for the Bears. Did an absolutely good job with the Bears, to tell you the truth, as a running backs coach. I mean, look what the running backs did for the Bears. So I mean, that's a he's going back to a familiar place. I mean, hey, he's going to be the pawn in the shop, but hey, at least he'll get some kind of notoriety because he's going to be under Andy Reid. So that'll work for him.
Well, but it might work this way. If Andy Reid steps down at some point and the Chiefs kind of rebound, I don't mean go to the Super Bowl, but become a perennial playoff team, that might be Bieniemy's best shot at getting a head coaching position with the Chiefs, the transition. But with that said, I think Andy Reid's a lifer. He'll coach till he stops. But if by some chance he does step down, Bieniemy's in the, might be in a good spot. Look, he wasn't going to land anywhere else like this. He wasn't. I mean, he was probably going to remain running coordinator. Back. I don't see any. He wasn't in demand as a coordinator elsewhere.
He wasn't.
It's to Bieniemy's credit that they liked him enough to bring him back to Kansas City, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have brought him back.
He's obviously given up on his head coaching aspirations, because the thing that held him back there mostly, I think, unless it's 30-year-old allegations, which is kind of silly, is the fact that Andy Reid was the guy there, not Eric Bieniemy. And I think that held him back, obviously. And his previous, and going back there and rebuilding his reputation isn't going to help him get a head coaching job when it held him back in the first place.
Right. So. And coaches leaving the NFL, Arthur Smith is now the OSU OC. So there's that.
As a Michigan guy, he laughs at
the football guys are just loving me right now. Thank you.
That's crazy.
Thank you.
Listen, Arthur Smith has a pretty good reputation as an offensive coordinator, not as a defensive coach. Most of the coordinators there, you don't like the other coordinator either for, personal reasons, which I get. He kind of wrecked the Lions for a while.
I kind of wonder, guys, if the Rams win the Super Bowl, they're 2 games away, and they conceivably can, and their defense comes up big, Chris Shula suddenly is going to be in big demand, but there might not be any openings for him to be a head coach.
Was there 4 jobs left? Is that right?
Yep, 4 jobs now.
I don't think they might get filled before the Super Bowl.
You want the Raiders or you want the Browns job? Do you really? I mean, where are the other ones open?
Buffalo, Raiders, Browns, and Cardinals.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think the Bills job's open, quite frankly, as we said. I think there's 3 jobs that are probably available, and I don't want any of them.
The Cardinals are not a bad job. I don't know what the problem is with getting a coach there. They got players in place. They just don't. I don't know what's going on with that whole situation. I'd rather be a coach of the Cardinals before I'm a coach of any of those 3 at this point.
Well, the Bills job is the best.
Worst of the least, or whatever.
Yeah.
The bar's not set terribly high.
No.
The Bills' job is the best job for 2 reasons. They're ready to win now. They've been winning. There's no reason why they shouldn't continue at the very least to be a playoff team. Plus, ownership and the GM are not going to want to fire the head coach. He's not going to be under that type of pressure because they're going to want to validate their hire.
But see, I agree with you there, Jack. But what I disagree with is that they shouldn't have rushed. I have to agree with Keith in regards to being disorganized there, because you rushed to judgment. You got rid of a coach that should still be your coach, your head coach. Or if you're going to get rid of him when there's a deep pool of some replacements. There's nothing there. You're looking at the bottom of the barrel. And that's the fact that Mike McCarthy's coming out and getting hired. It tells me even the teams that are still in the playoffs right now don't have anybody you can pull from that's there, that no one's excited about.
Well, it was personal in a large degree. You could tell them moving on from Sean McDermott. You don't know what the relationship is. You don't know what went on inside the building. Maybe they had enough of them. Maybe
we do know that
in a certain way where they just didn't want him anymore.
We do know that 5 weeks before the playoffs, he went into the owner and GM and said, "You haven't given me the tools to win here." So we know that there's animosity inside that building. And then he fired him. And the owner says, "I fired him only because we lost in Denver and I saw my quarterback crying." Come on.
The press conference too. You could tell from the press conference after they lost, like McDermott was fiery upset. I mean, he was so, you could just hear him seething at the press conference. And I don't think I've ever seen a head coach so pointed in some of his comments. It was like it wasn't hard to tell that there was an issue that was not just what had happened during the game. And then they fired him the next morning. And to me, because Keith, I missed that part where he basically had gone in there and said, hey, I don't have the tools to win. But then to come back, like you guys said, and make a statement, oh, the quarterback was crying, so let me go ahead and get rid of a 9-year tenured coach who's been, who has the tools. I think it came down to they read everything. It was a grouped thing. Like it was a big bubble of stuff going around. The fact there was no Lamar, no Patrick Mahomes. They felt that there was no competition at all. And so management was already upset. They already had these behind the scenes issues with McDermott, and they were looking for a reason after that comment was made by him to get rid of him.
Sonia, don't feed off what Keith said. He didn't fire him because Josh Allen was crying. That had nothing to do with it. It was because the Bills hadn't been able to get over the top, and they had personal issues with McDermott. It wasn't Josh Allen shedding tears. You could go into any locker room after an emotional loss and see players
Jack in his locker room stuff.
Saying, oh, I'm firing the coach. My players are crying. I can't bear to see it.
Hey, Jack, let me remind you about your locker room etiquette, man. You said this whole thing about the New England Patriots in their locker room, and somehow that didn't work.
He just aims at everybody.
What world
he loves a locker room for some reason.
What world are we living in? Because he said exactly what I just said in the press conference. He said, I fired him because I walked in the locker room and I saw my quarterback and other players crying. He said that.
No, he fired him because the team wasn't able to get over the top year after year.
That's not what the owner said. That's the point.
He didn't say I fired him because the quarterback was crying.
That's what the owner said.
Oh,
those words. Go back and watch the press conference.
To the words, we're going to follow the Amon St. Brown words here. To the word Amon St. Brown, most of these owners don't know ball. That's what they don't know. So they just like owning a team just to be owning a team for
owner. He had a bad press conference, a terrible press conference. He came off bad. He should be condemned for that press conference. But let's be honest, the Buffalo fan base was getting a little restless with McDermott. I wouldn't have fired him based on performance. I wouldn't have.
I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to blame the owner. I'm going to blame his publicist, like R. Kelly's publicist. You need to have somebody better there to tell you what to do and what to say. I mean, you can't just go out there and just blast yourself. That's just goofy.
That's a comparison.
He never has press conferences. He's not used to it. He went too far. He should have kept it short and sweet. He didn't do it. He handled it the wrong way. I mean, believe the guy alone.
I don't give them any excuse. He's a multi-billionaire. I don't care. You have no excuse.
He'd fire in the whim. He'll fire you in the whim and leave him alone. No, you got to hold everybody culpable. That was, like you said, Jack, that was a bad press conference. And it's on record now. Like he said, you can go back and references that looks bad. And it's going to look bad for the rest until Kingdom Come.
Horrible.
That's why nobody doesn't want to work there.
And he's got the right to fire the guy. I've said this a couple times. He can fire him if he wants to. I know you're going to throw Aaron Boone in my face one day on a show when I talk about this, Jack, but it's not the same circumstance. Mike McDermott got there, and they hadn't been in the playoffs in about 18 years, by the way. So let's remember that he brought a certain...
Okay, but there are 4 head coach openings. What happens if McDermott doesn't get one? What does that mean? Does that mean Pegula, the owner, call the other owners and said, don't hire this guy? What does that mean? If he's that good of a coach, he should get one of these 4 other jobs. Jim Harbaugh was gobbled up at the snap of a finger. Kevin Stefanski got a job very quickly.
Those are the best hires. They
got all the good jobs, Jack.
And then Buffalo, he didn't get fired until after all that happened. So. Really?
And it's telling if McDaniel turns it down. We're talking about McDaniel here. He turned it down.
And he's a wacky guy. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but he's not that wacky. Apparently, he has some common sense to say something's wrong.
Let me ask you this. Correct me if I'm wrong on the timeline. Didn't Tom Brady, when he quarterbacked the Patriots, play against Sean McDermott's teams with the Bills?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Brady has a tremendous pull with the Raiders. Wouldn't he recommend McDermott? He went against his defenses.
He might, but McDermott doesn't want the job probably. Why would McDermott, Sean McDermott, I said Mike McDermott earlier, sorry, I got worked up. Sean McDermott, why would he take one of these 3 jobs? He's going to wait.
This is a guy that was never the Super Bowl. He can't pick and choose.
Sure he can.
Come on.
Yes, he can.
He can.
98-50 is his record. He's the best option that's out there right now.
Yeah.
He's the best option that's out there right now.
Jack may have a point about the owners talking amongst themselves about coaches. He may have a point about that. They're devious like that. Owners are devious like that. They'll do stupid stuff like that.
I'm not
Now,
saying
I don't agree that I agree that Sean McDermott should have been fired, but this was not the time to fire him because there was nobody better than him to replace him. To get him over that hump. I keep referring him to the Rick Carlisle Pistons when Rick Carlisle kept getting to the Eastern Conference Finals and couldn't get there. And then they fired him and got Larry Brown because Larry Brown was available and he was a better coach. And guess what happened? So
pretty sure Rick Carlisle went on and won that championship later on.
Yeah, he did later on. Yes, he did.
Right.
But at the time, he wasn't getting it done. So that's what they did. But it's the same thing with the Bills. The Bills didn't have anybody out. They shouldn't have never fired him if they didn't have anybody better to replace him. Have a plan. I don't think he's that bad of a coach either.
I think they do have a plan. I think they were worried about Joe Brady going somewhere else, and
they don't have a plan.
It was time for Sean McDermott to go.
They don't.
Fair enough.
Joe Brady is just another guy. I mean, I know he's with the Bills offensive coordinator. That's familiarity with him. And you hear stuff like Brian Daboll is an option. Like he's a.
I was just thinking about Brian Daboll.
I mean, he wasn't good with the Giants. The Giants got off to a 6-1 start one season. Then they went 3-6-1 the rest of the way. And he was coach of the year based on the start they got off, which included the Tennessee Titans missing a field goal on the final play of the game, etc. And all of a sudden, he's this hot coaching candidate because he was with Josh Allen for a while at Buffalo. Josh Allen thrived without him.
He was responsible for a lot of the development there, but that's about as far as it goes. By the way, I read an article yesterday, Jack, that didn't say he was an option, that he said he was the best and only option for the Buffalo Bills. That's pretty sad, by the way.
That's
no
a good
plan.
analogy, Danny. Yeah, no plan.
That's going to come back to bite them, and I hate that because whoever they get at this point, they're not going to be in the playoffs next season. Watch.
They're going
to hire Phillip Rivers as the head coach.
He's trying his hand at everything.
Sonia Keith, I enjoyed the debate show I did yesterday with Brian and James because James really put me down and had Brian's backing putting me down 100%. And I thought Phillip Rivers could be. Well, no, listen. When I thought Phillip Rivers could be a good head coach for the Buffalo Bills. So James is saying, how could you get a guy with no experience? James really lit into me something.
Yeah, did he go to his high voice?
No, he didn't go to his high voice.
Peyton Manning's name comes up and James says, wow, that would be a good option for the Bills. But Brian, to his credit, he stood firm and he said that would be a joke as well. But James gave away for the Peyton Manning being the Bills head coach. How do you feel about Peyton Manning? Bill's head coach. If he calls and says, I want the job, he might actually get it.
They both
some people ride to positions based off of their name. And this is kind of akin to when the Colts hired Jeff Saturday. The same type of thing. They brought him in based off of his name. He didn't have any experience. And this is what happens when you don't have a plan and you have not done any preparation. And so I would not be surprised if they hired him just because, it's Phillip Rivers, it's Peyton Manning, whoever, because of their name, even though they have not proven anything in that specific role. I mean, heck, there's so many former quarterbacks out there that probably could at least come in as a coordinator, but a head coach is a stretch And I think at this point, fans would gun that up just because they want to see the outcome. And who knows? It's a gamble anyway. If you win or lose some games, hey, there you go.
At least Saturday had some history with the team that he got and coached. At least that going for him. But these guys have none of that.
I'm not going to mention it again, but any coaching candidate has to speak to his wife, assuming he's married, and say, we're moving to Buffalo. That's what we're going to be from now on. I could maybe get 2 weeks vacation and we could go on a cruise or whatever. But they got to live in Buffalo. And the coach is in the office the whole time, so maybe it doesn't matter that much. But for, the family, and I'm not saying Buffalo's not a nice place, but, come on.
You basically said it wasn't earlier, Jack. Just
let the fans of Buffalo get mad.
With McDaniel, the only reason why McDaniel probably couldn't get up there, he couldn't get a supplier to relocate.
So McDaniel went from one coastal job to another. So I mean, clearly he likes the water. So
he's got flip flops, a whole flip flop coordinator. He can't,
Yeah.
There's gotta be stuff up in Buffalo, by the way, Sonia. I mean, why else would you be there? According to Jack, you got to be drunk.
Look at the falls. Go to Canada, drink some wine. That's it.
Anyway, we are today is Conference Championship Sunday. We have 4 teams vying for the Super Bowl. Yes, it is. And you should know this, man. You're winning the team.
I forgot all about it.
The team that's one of the teams that's in it. So we have the New England Patriots going to Denver to play the Denver Broncos, and we have the LA Rams going to the Seattle Seahawks to play that game. Right now, everybody is the New England game is a very interesting one because nobody's given Stidham a chance. In fact, the lines did shift because Bo Nix is out. I think that Sonia had talked about this earlier with her guest yesterday at 4:30 about the line shifting from 1.5 to 4 for New England. 4.5, I think it is right now.
It's 3.5.
So
now.
it's 3.5. Wow, yeah. It's going down. It was started off at 5
and going down all week.
So how are we feeling about this game? And I'm going to start with you, Keith, because this is your team, your fan favorite team.
I'm very confident, but I have to qualify it with the fact that we've had very little success over the years in Denver, especially in the playoffs. 0-4 in the playoffs, and some other horror shows during the regular season have happened up there. Some to backup quarterbacks, quite frankly. If there's a coach that can, and again, not a lot of tape. They had him here in New England for 2 years, obviously, and at the beginning of his career, but that's almost 5 years removed. Not a lot of tape on the guy, so Sean Payton might be able to coach him up to not beat him and beat themselves in this game. The Patriots defense is playing very well since Williams came back on that defensive line. They're a whole different animal. They stop the run, and if they can't run the ball today, they're not going to be able to have a chance against New England. New England gets Hollins back in the wide receiver core, which it may not sound like a lot, but he's made a lot of big catches. You go look at his numbers, they're not huge, but every catch he makes seems to be a really big catch. And I think that's huge lift for this team as well. They haven't played at their best the last couple of weeks, but when you can win and not play your best, that's important, and you find ways to win, and they've done that. The defense has really set them up well. The offense has got to make fewer mistakes because this Denver defense is still one of the better ones. And by the way, the Patriots go on, and it's a stretch yet. We still got to win 2 more games. They go on and win the Super Bowl. I want to hear any more about their record, because to have won the Super Bowl, they would have had to be 4 of the best 5 defenses in football. Mm-hmm. So please just shut up about that. I think they're going to go into Denver. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. Again, I would expect another ugly game like I've seen the last 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. 23-16 Patriots.
James, who you got?
So going into Denver, you're playing against not only Denver, but you're playing against the altitude as well, and a record of 0-4, like you said, Keith. But look, Jarrett Stidham. That's the only name I got to mention here. That's Jarrett Stidham. Like you said, he's an unknown, but he's not an unknown. I mean, he had one good game against the 49ers. Okay. So, like I said, every dog has his day. I'm not sold on him. And Jack, you mentioned in our debate yesterday, you think most of the pressure's on him. It might be. It may be a lot of pressure on him. I'm going to look in the face of the head coach, Mike Vrabel, and that defense. If you let this guy beat you in this game, everybody needs to go home and reevaluate what they need to be doing for their career. Because there's no way Jarrett Stidham should be beating New England's defense. It's just not. If it was Bo Nix, then we might have a different story. Because I think Denver's defense, like you said, Keith, they're good enough. They're going to keep this team in that game. And, I mean, look what they did to Josh Allen just last week. And, I mean, he played a bad game, but you got to give credit to that defense, too, as well. So it's going to be a really tight game. But I like Drake May, and I like the weapons better on the offense of New England than I do with Buffalo. And so I think they're going to have a much better outing. And I think it might be 27-20. And I'm picking New England.
One quick thing, James, before you move on, Brian, about the altitude, and I should have mentioned, and Jack and I talked about this. I'm a little disappointed in the team that they waited till yesterday to travel to Denver. I had to travel earlier in the week and worked out in Denver, get a little accustomed. Again, you don't get accustomed to it necessarily in a few days, but you would get more accustomed to it that you're going to would be just going out and playing today. So I'm not happy about that fact, but again, that's not an excuse if they lose. As James said, they should not lose to this football team. And if they do, figure it out. There's something wrong.
What you got, Jack?
By the way, I saw a little of Sonia's show, maybe half of it. We did your Dan Patrick guy yesterday. And Sonia, you're going to have to explain to Keith, he has all this Denver Broncos stuff on, why you were basically saying to him, you hope the Broncos win. I'm paraphrasing. I can't say you said that directly.
I told him good luck to his team.
You had his back, basically, as far as the
Oh
Broncos
my gosh, Jack.
That's something you're going to have to take up with Keith,
I have that show queued up to watch after I'm done today. So we'll check it out.
The show is only like 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, because he had some technical difficulties. Jack was
I watched like the first 20 minutes or so.
You need to watch it longer.
Perched to attack him.
But Miss Game, you know what we've never done, all of us, and you never even hear analysts do this.
Okay.
We should sit down and compile a list from all the teams, the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL, who'd be number 1, 2, 3, 4. And I venture to guess off the top of my head that Stidham might be a top 5 backup. Just off the top of my head, Mac Jones comes to mind. No, top 5 amongst the backups.
Bottom 5, more likely. Bottom 5.
If I had a remote control, I'd cut that top right monitor off.
I put him ahead of some of the old war horses, like no offense, like Andy Dalton, who've been around.
Oh, come on, man. That's insulting. That's insulting to Andy Dalton. He was actually a great starter in this league.
Listen, Sean Payton kept this guy around for a reason. If you have faith in Sean Payton, believe in this guy, Stidham. I know he had a shot to be a starter with the Raiders. It didn't work out. But just the idea he was on the cusp of being a starter. New England was considering him post-Brady being their starter. The Raiders considered it, but just the idea he has a certain potential. But I'll tell you what Denver can't do. They can't play too conservatively with Stidham. They've got to take chances with him. I don't mean you're telling him to go out and win the game, but you can't put him in the mindset, just don't lose us this game and our defense is going to rise to the occasion. But as Keith pointed out on the other side, the Patriot defense is on an upswing. They're getting better as the years went along, especially the second half of the season to now. And it's conceivable that the Patriot defense now has overtaken Denver's defense as a better defense. Denver was great early in the year with all their sacks and what they were doing. And they're still, a very good defense. But I just kind of wonder, are they better than the Patriots? And but when push comes to shove, you got to believe Drake May and his weapons eventually overtake Denver. I like the Patriots to pull away at the end, win something like 26-16.
Jack, I should have cut you off after you made that Stidham comment. That's what I should have done. Just went right to Sonia. Anyway.
Well, you got to give me other names that are that much better. I mean, come on.
Just because he's in a conference championship game doesn't mean he's a better backup. Come on, man. Dude's played 6 years and played 4 games and won one of them. Come on.
He's better than most. He's better than. I mean, you're going to say a guy like Russell Wilson, who's loyal to truth, is better.
Yeah, I take him over him every day.
Better.
Okay, I mean, difference of opinion. You guys like the used up versions of quarterbacks.
That's kind of like what we deal with as facts. So that's
Trubisky better. Let me keep going. Am I done? Can I finish?
Sonia, go ahead there.
Thank you.
So first of all, let me go ahead and rebut Jack saying that I was pumping up the Broncos. Are you kidding me? I was interviewing a guest and I was remaining neutral to the best of my ability because the first thing I said to him, if you watch the first minutes, when he started talking about revisionist history and the last time they went to the Super Bowl, I was like, come on, Fritzy, you're already pulling at me here. I don't want to talk about the Super Bowl the last time y'all were there. But I will say, even though I feel like this game, I'm kind of trying to not be on the bandwagon of the hype around the fact that Bo Nix went down and this is a less competitive game than what we were originally looking at. 10 versus 10, May and Nix, the two-year quarterbacks coming in. The youth of the league battling it out. It's a new day to see these young quarterbacks go at it. You cannot forget, even though, yesterday, like the guest brought up with the record that the Patriots have. Keith, I cannot believe they waited till yesterday to travel. That's insane. Bi-coastal is one thing, but the elements there in Denver is another with that altitude. But they've been there at least one other time during the regular season, so go figure. But this is the big dance for them. The music could stop suddenly, and then the dance is over. However, I think that this game I'm not confident in Stidham. He hasn't thrown in over 700 days. No throws. This game is not going to be an offensive game. This is going to depend on Denver being the defensive team that we've seen over the years, that they have this orange crush stuff that they talk about. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to the defense. It's not going to come down to an offensive play. I feel like this game may be won by a field goal at the very end if it is close. If not, I feel like we're going to see a glimpse of the Patriots run away with this thing like we've seen them just start running up the scoreboard. Mac Hollins is back, like Keith talked about. He's definitely one of the targets that May always uses, and he's a sizable boot, honestly, for him in this game. And then even though Harold Landry is out with those knee injuries, and he's defensive captain for the Patriots, that's why I'm banking on the offense for the Patriots. But then if you look on the other side, J.K. Dobbins being out for Denver is a huge gap over there for them for their ground game. So, and then Troy Franklin and Luke Wattenberg, those two guys, like you got to look at who's the missing pieces for both sides. I think this game is going to come down to who can be more defensively strong. These are the number 1 and number 2 seeds for a reason, and it's going to come down to a defensive struggle. That's why I said it's going to be a 3-point game. I would not be surprised if Denver some kind of way pulled it out, but I do have the Patriots winning this one, probably 23-20. If they blow it out the water, 34-13.
8 now.
We got another game we got being played out.
We know that. I'm getting to that. Calm down. Anyway,
Junior Varsity's playing, we know, at 6:30.
We do have the Rams and Seattle coming up here next. We do this pretty faster because Keith has his show coming on, Stream of Consciousness. Stay on this channel. You'll be able to see that as well. Now, Rams versus Seattle. We're going to go the opposite direction here. Sonia, give us your take on Seattle versus the Rams.
Really briefly, I think that the Seahawks get this one. We've seen the Rams struggle throughout this entire season. This is an away game for them as well. Rob Havenstein is out with the ankle for the offensive tackle for them. Byron Young is questionable, even though he's him and Jermaine Verse are one of the two people. He's still questionable with his knee, but McVay is, of course, using optimism for them performing. Then on the other side, you look at, even though Sam Darnold was limited in practice this week, he's going to definitely show up, but this injury may resurface during the game. Oblique is nothing to play around with, and he's been trying to be ginger with it all week during the practices. Chaz Surratt is out. Amari Kite is doubtful because of a knee issue. So their offensive line is going to be tested when you're going against the Rams defense as well. Again, 2 top seeds NFC West battle. And Josh Jones as well is questionable, as well as Robbie Outs is questionable with his neck. So I feel like in the end, Seattle will win this one. It's going to be a close one. Probably 33-31. They like the 30s for some reason this whole season. 34-31. Going to be the same score as the Panthers game had with them.
Jack.
Yeah, I mean, remember what happened last year with Sam Darnold in the playoffs against the Rams? I mean, it was a nightmare for him. He couldn't do anything. They had him under duress. Sam Darnold's a good quarterback if he has some time to throw. He's very good. But put him under pressure, put him under duress. He makes mistakes, and it's a problem, a major problem. He doesn't read defenses that great, when they give him different looks. And I kind of feel it's going to be somewhat deja vu. Close game, but we don't have much time left. I think the Rams win this 22-20. I think they have better big game players. Between Nakua, Jamal Adams, Matthew Stafford, Jared Verse, I just feel they have the better big time players, and they win it. Very tight game. It's not really very little to choose between these two teams. And I think this is now the best. This, after today, we're going to all acknowledge that this is probably the best rivalry in the NFL going forward, the Rams and the Seahawks.
James, who you got?
So I thought Seattle was known for their fish market, not chopped liver, because that's what you're calling them, Jack. You're calling Jackson Smith and Jigba and Kenneth Walker chopped liver. I mean, no, these guys are leading, one of them leading the league in receiving. So the offensive line, the defense, the special teams is better all across the board. I mean, you might have individual players here that are probably better, like Matt Stafford or like you alluded to, Puka Nakua, but those are individual names. As a team collectively, Seattle's got it. And I got them winning this game. I think they're going to win by maybe 11 or 12 points. I think 35-24 is where it's going to be. And I think it's just dominant. They look like the team to be in the Super Bowl and win it. To me, the favorite. And sorry, Keith, I got your team winning the Super Bowl, but I think it might stop there.
Underdogs, no matter. I get it.
Yeah.
This is again the 2 games they played during the season. I think were both decided by 1 point, both at home on the road for the Rams. The Rams, they're 2 very good defenses. Again, how they've managed to score as many points in their head-to-head matchups is probably a testament to how good the offenses are as well. I've been on the Seahawks all week. I've started to waver a little bit, but I'm going to stay with them. With a caveat that don't give Matthew Stafford the ball with a chance to win at the end of this game.
Right.
Do not do that. If it comes down to one of these quarterbacks having the ball at the end with a chance to win, Stafford's got a huge advantage over Darnold. And if they don't put this game on Darnold's shoulders, if Kenneth Walker can run the football, they can control the clock a little bit, maybe keep their defense off the field and not ask Darnold to do too much, I think Seattle will win this game. I don't know about by 11, but I think it'll be more than 1 because I'm going to bet a -2.5. So I need 3.
I have Seattle and New England winning their games respectively as well. This concludes this show for today. Again, next week it'll be the Sunday Sports Podcast, so look for that name. I do think all the hosts on here, Sonia, Jack, James, and Keith. Again, catch Keith right next with the Stream of Consciousness show. And have a good football Sunday. Watch these games.
Have a good one. Thanks for
Have a good one.
Hey guys.